SpaceX was the largest IPO in history, but it's down 40% from its highs. Today, I'm going to be telling you why it is and what's going to be happening next with the stock. To do that, I'm going to tell you about the company. I'm going to tell you about the three different parts: the space, the connectivity, and the AI segment, and what's going on in the future with those. Then I'll be telling you about the cash flow and why so much cash is flowing from us and where into the business. And then, more importantly, when that money is going to be flowing back to us as investors and when that stock price is going to be going back up. I'll also be talking about the IPO and just IPOs in general and kind of my concerns and my special concerns with this special case as it is. And then also kind of how Elon Musk is going to affect the stock in terms of his reputation and with how Tesla has been affected. So SpaceX, there's three different segments. There's the space, which is kind of your rockets, right? So the big giant rocket ship that comes and parks right up there, right? It's that segment, and then also it gets all of their satellites and all their space equipment up to the space, and then they've been working on getting them back down, so that's been able to save a lot of costs, and so that's kind of been really interesting to see and to continue to see in the future. They also have an extremely large moat with this, which is really good for a company. Second, they have their connectivity section. This is the Starlink, right? So their wireless Wi-Fi that comes from their satellites. So that's where that one, and it's been their big money maker and where they've actually been profiting in their business. Then they have the AI segment. This is X, this is Grok. This also has their new orbital data centers, which will be very interesting to see how those play out and when those will actually get sent up and when they'll be actually making profits as well. Into the future, their big growth is going to be in that AI segment, especially with those AI data centers. But then they'll also have different parts within the SpaceX, the space portion also expanding. So that'll be really interesting to see. They've also stated that they think they have an insanely large market opportunity. So this will be very interesting to see. Of course, we're not going to be seeing any of this play out over the next, year, but over the next couple of decades, you'll be able to see this grow out. And I mean, if they're the only one that can get into space and bring stuff up and back down efficiently, I mean, they're going to destroy other people. So that'll be very interesting to see it play out, but doesn't mean it's necessarily a good place to buy right now. Their cash flow is very important. So they have their three different segments, and this is kind of how the cash flow is flowing. So they've been having investors. They have the new giant IPO, so a bunch of money thrown into the company. So as I stated before, they have their Starlink area, right? That's the one part that's actually making money for them. So they have more money coming out than they are putting into that. Then they have the space, which has been kind of its actual portion has been kind of like even, but they've still been throwing in extra capital expenditures into space to try to help grow and help create better and then help reduce costs eventually too. And so that's been really interesting to see. And then the third part is the AI. So this is really going to be interesting to see kind of how that plays out, how much of those data centers are going to be very beneficial. And so that'll be really interesting to see. And then obviously we're not going to see any of that really come back to shareholders within the next year or 2 years or maybe even 5 years. There's going to be no dividend anytime soon, I don't think, but it'll be very interesting to see kind of when things are going back. I think it's really important to take a look at the IPO. So companies have the IPOs and there's been different ones that have been done well and different ones that have done bad. I think if you've ever read Shoe Dog, I'd recommend reading that. That book goes over kind of what Nike did and kind of what they were doing with their raising capital and all that stuff. And so it really kind of gets you an inside scoop kind of on what's going on with an IPO and what a company is going through when they're doing an IPO. So the number one reason a company is doing an IPO is to raise capital, right? That's what I mean, you see it right here. This is why SpaceX has said they're doing it, right? And this is why, Nike and a bunch of other companies have always done it, is they need capital. But there's other reasons than just capital to do it too. So there's extra ability to get more funding, right? So if you're publicly traded, you are able to show more transparency and so more people are more interested. Now, SpaceX is extremely large, so that's probably not going to be the big case there, but it still can be beneficial. And then also paying out owners. And so I think that'll be really interesting to see kind of what happens with that in the future. But so I think that's kind of been interesting. So why did the stock jump up a ton on the first couple days and then went and tanked 40% from then? So stocks in the past generally do go up on that first day or so, and they'll jump up on average around that 20% range. And so that first day can be a great pop and it brings a lot of hype and a lot of eyes onto a company. So when there's a lot of eyes and a lot of hype on a company, you get a lot of people buying in. And that can be great if you're owning it, but they can be buying it in terms of hype. Maybe they're just trying to get a couple days worth of gain and then pull out. And so it can be very speculative. And I'm not a speculative investor. I don't like to lose my money. I don't like to throw it in a garbage can. I like to make money with my money. And so that's always been kind of a concern with mine too. And then so I like to kind of wait and simmer and let the IPOs sit a little bit. Another thing to think of too is IPOs generally, they'll go and you have to take an eye on the insiders. So some insiders in some companies, right? Are we look really? I'm trying to see, are they trying to just make a profit here? Are they just trying to cash a big check? And so, and also aside from that too, it can tell you a little bit more. So insiders will have shares, right? And so see in 90 days they can finally start trading those shares. So in 90 days from the initial IPO, we'll be able to see if they really, I'm not too concerned with, right, with Elon Musk, with these other ones. I'm not really concerned about them going and just, hey, we're taking a bunch of cash and we're leaving. I think what will be more important will be saying, hey, and there will be some that will, be going just taking a little paycheck finally, which yeah, great. But really with that, I'm seeing, okay, are they selling out a lot or just a little? Because if they're selling out a lot, that could tell you, hey, we think it's overpriced right now and it's not going to be at this price for long. It's going to keep going down. And so I bet once that comes out, we'll be able to see a bit more shift in terms of a longer term movement for the stock. And then also their earnings call is coming up, so I'm going to wait for that too and kind of see, hey, what's going on with the earnings call, and then that can also direct what's going on with it as well. So IPOs in general, they honestly don't do the greatest. So if you can look here, you'll see this is a graph from the Nasdaq, and a lot of companies will not do well after their IPO. A lot of them will struggle the first couple of years. They'll be very volatile the first year, or maybe even do a bit of gains, like you can kind of see right away. But then they'll a lot of times go down. A lot of that comes down when the hype comes down. SpaceX has a ton of hype. It was the largest IPO ever. It's everyone has their eyes on it, and so you have a lot of hype with it, and a lot of hype comes a lot of risk. Now, if you take it on a longer term scale, yeah, there are going to be some companies that do go and actually continually outperform, but I generally would say those ones have less hype with their IPO and kind of just do release. But you really got to see what's going on. And then also, you have to think, I mean, this is 3 years out. What's going to happen 10 years out? And I think SpaceX has some potential, a lot of potential actually, over the next couple of decades that could really bring SpaceX up and out. So now I want to talk about Elon Musk and how he's affected Tesla's stock. Tesla trades at some ridiculous values to where I don't even really keep an eye on it in terms of, hey, do I think this is a good value bet? Because it's so overpriced in my opinion. And it doesn't really follow the fundamentals underneath it. And that concerns me with SpaceX as well, because it could hit a point where it never goes down to where it should be at a certain point, and it kind of just stays up and really just trades at ridiculous numbers with crazy hype, just like Tesla kind of has over the past 5 years. So that'll be really interesting to see play out over the next, I think, couple of years. I'll be able to tell kind of how much of SpaceX is tied to that Elon, Tesla, AI hype, and how much of that is actually getting driven with the fundamentals behind it. And so that'll be very interesting to see. Another thing too, over here, I have green and red. So usually when a stock price goes up, that's green. But for me, as a longer term investor, I really see it if it goes up, I see that as red, and I see it if it goes down as green because I'm wanting to buy. So the lower the price is, the better a deal I can get, right? So I'm really actually kind of hoping that the stock kind of goes down. And if it goes down a ton, then maybe I'll find a good buy. So I wanted to show you guys SoFi and Palantir. So both of these companies, they had huge they had huge volatility, and then they had a big drop. They had decent amount of volatility and a big drop, and then they had a period of kind of a couple year low, where it was just kind of sitting around. Nobody was really touching the stock, and then after that, you see them shoot up as soon as they hit profitability and as soon as numbers go crazy. SpaceX is not profitable right now. Look at the cash flow; it's all coming out. Sure, it's going to be recycling and eventually can it go back and pull back through? We'll see. But right now it's not. So you're kind of in that starting stage. Okay, what's going on? When are we going to hit this, right? And is it going to drop or is it just going to stay and just continually be crazy over the next decade? and with no real merit. And so that'll be very interesting to see kind of where it plays out over the next couple months and over the next couple of years. And then hopefully, if it goes down, maybe I'll take into it because it is going to sit on my watch list. I do think that the space, I mean, that's a crazy moat, and then the AI has some crazy potential too. So that'll be very interesting to see overall. So thank you all for watching. Please subscribe. Again, this is not financial advice, just kind of my opinions on things and kind of where it's sitting. So hopefully you guys enjoyed.